Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going over your purchase of your brand new Tesla or EV. We covered in part one of this 3-part series on how to buy the vehicle, the things you should be looking for in a proper pre-buy inspection. Go back and take a look at that video if you want to learn those things. But in this video today, we're going to cover how to operate your vehicle efficiently. We're going to break everything down that you absolutely need to know. We're going to explain it quite simply so that you understand it. Please stick around to the end because there's some very important information in here. Things about how to get out of the vehicle safely. We go through the menu system, tell you the proper settings that you should have in the menu. We show you where everything's at. We show you how to hook your phone up to the vehicle, things of that nature. It is a very capable vehicle and a very efficient vehicle. And if you learn how to operate it, I promise you, you will be very happy with your purchase. Don't forget to look in the description below to see how you can get 30 days of full self-driving. Like and subscribe. And we'll see you back again in just a moment. So now that you have your car, one of the very first things you want to do is figure out how to get in the car. In the case of Teslas, you have a couple of different ways to do this, and it's not really your traditional way of getting in the vehicle. The primary way we normally do this is through the app. And if you were not given access by the dealership, then number one, you need to get access. And we kind of alluded to a lot of that in our first part of the video. If you've not seen part one of our series, then please go back and watch that. You need to get ownership, full ownership of the vehicle, and the ownership needs to be transferred so that you have access to the vehicle via your app, because that's how you grant permission for other keys to access your vehicle and give permission to other cell phones in order to access the vehicle. So that is extremely important. Once you've gained that access, then you need to actually utilize your phone in order to get in the car. It's going to be paired with the vehicle. The dealer should help you set it up such that your phone is paired with the vehicle and that you set it up as a Bluetooth key. In a lot of cases, what they're going to do, they're going to hand you a key. I have a key here, and you'll notice this is more like, well, a credit card. All Teslas basically have credit cards. There are a few that have key fobs. They're a much older variety, and you can still buy a key fob. If you really, truly want one, you can still purchase it, and it should work with the vehicle. But for the most part, you have a key card, which is the size of a credit card, which fits in your wallet, which is quite convenient. The way that you use this is that you're going to be at the driver's side door. And this is the only place the key will work, because if you try it on the passenger side, it won't work. There's no sensor over here. The sensor is located just below the camera and the door right here. So just this area right under here, that's where the sensor is located. And you're just going to put your key there. And what that's going to do is going to unlock the vehicle. And in order to lock the vehicle back, you can just tap the key card there again. That's all there is to it. You're going to use this key card to set your phone as a phone key and set it in the Bluetooth once you're in the vehicle. And the way that you do that, you go to the car. Once you have it loaded into your app, you're going to go in there and set it up as a phone key, and you're going to need this key in order to finish the setup. And then you can start doling out permissions as to what keys work. You're going to add extra keys if you want to. Each vehicle can handle up to 5 keys. So you can have up to 5 key cards per vehicle. As far as cell phones, I'm not aware of a limit as far as electronic keys in terms of the cell phones, but in terms of physical keys, you can only have a maximum of 5. A little known fact about this key is that if you have more than one Tesla, well, one key card works on up to 2 different vehicles. So if you have 2 Teslas, you can use the same key card for that. You just got to program it to each vehicle. So that makes life a lot easier if you have 2. Now, if you have 3, well, okay, you can afford an extra key. So let's just say that you've got 3 of them. Now, if you're using your cell phone, now you notice if you have yourself and your significant other with you, you both have cell phones on you. One person needs to be designated as, let's call it, the primary driver of that vehicle. And the reason being is that when the car senses both cell phones in the area, when you walk up to the car with your cell phone and it's paired as a phone key, the car is just going to automatically unlock. And when you walk away, if you have it set in the system, it will automatically lock when you walk away. If both of you happen to walk up to the vehicle together, the car will decide which key it's going to recognize. And this is significant because if it recognizes the wrong one, and like myself, I'm 6'3". If my spouse happens to be 5'3" and I get in the car, my knees are going to be in my chest trying to get in. Most people have 3s and Ys, and you get into it the same way. You notice this nice door handle here. We have it nice and glittered up for you guys so that you can see it. Everybody always looks at this and they are completely flummoxed as to how to get in the vehicle. They go, I can't grab the handle. Don't make this difficult, folks. You'll notice a fat end on this side, and this is a skinny end. This is for your thumb. You take your thumb, you put it right here, and you push in just like that. The handle pops out, you grab it just like this and pull. And let go. That's all there is to it. To close the door, you just push it back. A lot of people try to do something like this. They do this two-handed, and they make it a lot more complicated than it really is, for real. All it is, take your thumb, put it right here, grab. No need to complicate it, very easy. So that's how you get in the vehicle. And we're gonna stick around because we're gonna show you later how to actually get out. And not only that, but how to get out in an emergency, which is a lot more important. Here's how you get in and out of the car. You have the normal electronic switch which you have on the door handle, which you normally press with your thumb. You just grab the door handle, press with your thumb. However, these are electronic door locks. And because this is an EV vehicle, if you lose electricity, the question becomes, how do you get out of the car? Well, the answer is the same in every single Tesla. They all have manual door releases on every door. Make no mistake about it. They all have it. The only question is where they're located at. And for the most part, they're all pretty much in the exact same spot. The reason why you don't want to use this ordinarily is because normally when you hit the electronic door release, it drops the window about ½ an inch such that it doesn't catch this trim up here. And it can really break your trim or damage the window itself if you don't have that window drop. When you use the emergency door release, it does not drop the window at all because it's not electronic, so it's not going to drop. So you refrain from utilizing these emergency door releases as your normal door handle. In the front seats, this is a bit of an issue because the door release is so easy to get to, people wind up pulling it thinking that's their normal door release, whereas in reality, it's the button. For the front doors, you just have this little lever that you pull upwards and it releases the door with no problem. In the rear seats, however, they've gone the exact opposite direction. These things are hidden so well, there's no way you're going to find it unless you absolutely know it's there to begin with. It's located in the bottom of the door pocket underneath a little cover. So you pull the cover off first and then you pull a little cable and that releases the door. If anyone's traveling with you in a Tesla and that have never traveled in a Tesla before, I highly recommend briefing them on those rear doors before you start your ride, because if God forbid something should happen and you're knocked out and you need to emergency egress the vehicle, the folks in the back need to know how to get out of the vehicle. And it's located in a place that's, well, not so intuitive. Front, you're fine. Those are easy. Back, you might want to talk to them about it before you take them for a ride. So here we are in the vehicle. And now you want to be able to set up a profile to all of the locks. I'll show you how to set up the keys for the vehicle. But each key should be keyed to a profile so that when you walk up to the vehicle, the car knows which profile to load. So what you want to do, you want to go into the menu, just like we did in our part 1. If you've not looked at our part 1 buyer's guide, please go back and look at that video. We go through a lot there. There's a lot to be seen there. I highly recommend going back through there. But one of the things we covered was going into the settings menu with the vehicle in the lower left-hand corner. You tap on that and it's going to bring up a menu. And what it's going to bring up is the control menu by default. We're going to get more into the control menu here in a few minutes. So be sure to watch that because there's quite a bit of stuff that you need to know there. But for now, I want to go and talk about the lock section. So go down the menu and we're going to press locks. When we do that, you're going to see your key pop up in this menu. Now, a common problem is that when you access the vehicle, it doesn't remember your seat position, it doesn't load your stuff up. Well, the reason being is because it does not have your profile loaded, and you have to tell it to load your profile to that key. So your profile is actually stored somewhere in Tesla Cloud, but it needs to know to put that profile to that key. So when you get in the vehicle, your profile is selected manually. You select the profile that you want and you press the little icon for the little man that's right next to the name. When you press that, you have now synced that profile to that key. So you don't have to manually select the profile every single time you get in the vehicle. You can put multiple keys in the vehicle, whether or not they're physical keys or phone keys. It doesn't matter. But each key that you pair to the vehicle, you have to put up, you don't have to put a profile, but I highly recommend putting a profile to that particular key. And when you tap on the little man there, that turns whatever the current profile is on for that key. If you want to remove that profile from that key, you just tap the little man again. And now when you get in the vehicle with that particular key, no profile is loaded at all. That's how you do it. You can also name each profile. So there's a little pencil icon. You tap on that, it will will let you name the individual key, whatever you want, or it's pulling the name of the phone that is connected. Like I said, you just tell it what profile you want. So when you get in the vehicle, one of the first things you want to do after you've got the locks and the profiles done, you want to go to the Bluetooth menu. You scroll up on the screen here on the left menu, and what you want to tap is Bluetooth down at the bottom. And what you're going to see a series of choices. If there are no paired devices, it's going to say connect a phone to the vehicle, or the better way to do it is to go into your app, go into the Tesla app, select set up Bluetooth, in which case it'll take you through a series of options and you set up your Bluetooth in the app and you can connect to the vehicle, and you can hit connect device in the car. When you do, you're going to see the options for that particular device. And in this case, it'll say priority device, sync contacts, recent calls, sync messages, chime on new message. You want to basically turn all those on, except for priority device. The person that is the primary driver of that vehicle, you select that as the priority device so that if two people come up to the vehicle, it'll take the dominant profile, which is the priority device, if both of them come up to the vehicle. I have also noticed it does proximity as well. So if one phone is on the driver's side and the other phone is on the passenger side getting in, it will take the one that's on the driver's side. I have noticed that. I don't know if that's a real thing, but that's just what I've noticed. And vice versa when you swap them up. But if both of them come to the driver's side door, it's going to go with the priority device. And now not only is that the profile is going to be loaded, but that's also going to be the Bluetooth for the vehicle that it's going to use. Okay, so here we're at the controls menu. Once again, when you hit the little car icon down in the lower left-hand corner, the control menu will be the default menu that pops up. Now, there are several things here that you're going to want to adjust before you even drive the vehicle. The very first thing you're going to want to do is change the mirrors and the steering wheel. So the way that we do that, we're going to actually tap on the mirror icon, and you're going to see it pop up left, right, auto tilt, auto fold, auto dim, and you're going to use the left knob on the steering column to adjust it. And all Teslas work exactly the same way. So you're going to be able to rotate this up and down to move the mirror, and then move it left and right to adjust it left and right. And that's how you adjust the mirrors. If you tap on it, that's going to move it to the right mirror as well. You'll see a save and restore button. This is how you save it to your profile. If you press the save button, now the mirrors will remember their position for this profile. If somebody else gets in the vehicle with their profile, it'll be completely different. But this is how you save it. So you save it to your profile, and if you happen to move the mirror while you on the profile, you don't have to save it. It'll just stay there, and think of it as a temporary place for it to be. It won't save there automatically. In order for you to do it, you'll have to hit the save button again. If you press the restore button, it'll then reload your profile position where you normally have it saved. So it's just that simple. It's a real convenient thing, because sometimes you want the mirrors or the steering wheel to be in a temporary position for whatever reason. Once we're done with the mirrors, you want to then go to steering. You press on the steering icon, and it's a very similar thing. You use the left scroll wheel to move the steering wheel up and down. And if you push it left or right, that moves the steering wheel in and out. Once again, you have the save and restore buttons, and oops, I hit the restore button. So it moved everything back to where it needed to be. Once you've got that done, now the vehicle is safe to actually drive. A couple of other options here on the control menu you want to be aware of. Number one, at the top of the screen, you have off, parking, on, and auto. That's for your lights. Just keeping it auto. The icon all the way to the right is the automatic headlights. Car wash mode. In general, please don't put your Tesla through an automatic car wash. And it's not for the reasons you think. It's like, oh, well, it's only EV. You know, you're going to ruin it. It's going to shut down. No, it's not. Especially if you hit car wash mode. That's really what it's for. Because what car wash mode does, ironically enough, it rolls up all your windows if you didn't already do that. Yes, people have gone through car washes with their windows down. But more importantly, it locks your charge port, because if you remember in some of the videos I showed you how to unlock your charge port, you can just press on the charge port and it opens. Well, if you get a jet of water strong enough, it will hit that charge port, open up your charge port. Now you have jets of water going straight into your charge port. We want to talk about the dynamics menu here. Basically sets up how the vehicle will handle for you. Unlike a lot of gasoline engines, except for some much higher end vehicles, you don't really get to customize how the vehicle feels to you. In here you can. So for instance, the acceleration. This is a Model 3 Performance, so we have 3 different types of acceleration: chill, standard, and insane. If you just have the regular all-wheel drive, you're just going to have 2 options: standard and I forget what the other one is. You usually just have 2 options. So that really dictates how fast it accelerates. Ride and handling, you can put it in standard or sports mode. Because we are in a performance model, yours is going to have slightly different. One that's going to be kind of universal is the steering weight. Light, standard, heavy allows the steering wheel to actually feel really light or really heavy for that real tight feeling vehicle. It's up to you. Some of the other options you may see here, if you don't have it, don't panic. It's just because this is a performance model. But one of the things I do want to point out is that apply brakes when regenerative braking is limited. You have regenerative braking in this vehicle, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this later. In Teslas, you have what's known as one pedal driving, which means you almost never touch your brakes, which is an extremely good thing, because if you're almost never touching your brakes, you know what else that means? You don't have to pay for brake changes. Some people get really annoyed by this, other people do not. But this option allows you to utilize the actual disc brakes when you have limited regenerative braking, and that occurs when the car is basically at 100% of power already, and you can't charge the battery over 100%. So if you try regenerative braking, well, there's nothing to regenerate because it's already full. Use the actual brakes. You have auto shift beta. Essentially what that is, it allows the car to automatically shift into drive or reverse when you put your foot on the brake pedal. That's why when you see me shift in the drive or reverse, it automatically goes. There's no actual shifter that I actually used. In this scenario, it's going to automatically put you in drive or reverse. However, I'd say it works about 80-90% of the time accurately. So be careful with that one, because it may shift you in the wrong direction on an occasion, depending on where you're at. So just pay attention when you use it. While we're talking about shifting, even though you're in a Tesla, we do have shifters, okay? But it's not the traditional manual shifter that you're used to in your vehicle. Keep it in mind, in most vehicles nowadays, they're all electronic shifters. They just put a manual lever there just to make you feel good. At the end of the day, you're just operating a switch, believe it or not. So you have the shifter, which is here on the screen, which you shift into drive and you shift into reverse. However, it is possible for this screen to go blank and to completely blank out on you. So the question becomes, well, okay, how do you drive the vehicle if the screen's blank? I can't shift my car. Well, don't worry about that, because all Teslas have a backup shifter. And in this case, it's almost always going to be located near the hazard light button. I just accidentally turned the hazard lights on, you turn them off. But usually on the side of that, if you just move your finger to the side, you press, you're going to see some lights light up, and you'll see your traditional park, reverse, neutral drive. You can shift the car like this all day long if you want to. That's your choice. You don't have to do it that way. Some people who choose that's the only way they want to do it because it makes them feel like a conventional vehicle that way. But in a Tesla, 9 times out of 10, you're going to use the shifter on the screen. So just know that you have a backup shifter. I highly recommend locating it. So let's talk about the charging screen for a second, because this is one of the things that you're going to want to know about the most, because it's one of the first things you're going to do when you get this vehicle home. If you have not already looked at it, I highly recommend looking at our EV charging video. We have a link to it. Once again, we'll put it somewhere around here, or we'll put a link to it in the description below, but I highly recommend you go out and take a look at that video. It's actually really easy to charge the vehicle. You basically just plug it into a supercharger. You should already have your credit card tied to the account in the app, like we talked about before. This is why it's so important to make sure you get everything transferred over. And when you plug into a supercharger, it should work. When you have your charger at home, it should just work. There's nothing special that you have to do, except for changing the charge limits and things of that nature. So what we go over in that other video is telling you what your charge levels are, what you should be looking out for. But here's how you actually do it. You actually have a scale here that says daily and trip. We talked about different batteries. Most batteries that you're going to have are going to be lithium ion. So you're going to have a maximum charge of 80% for the daily stuff. You will also have this slider in the app. If you want to move it up to 100%, you can, and you can choose to do one time or make it repeat, but don't hesitate to do it to 100 if you have to, if you're going on a trip. If it's just once in a while, it's not a big deal. If you're doing it every day, that's a deal. If you have an LFP battery, then you want to do 100% quite often. The next part down is the charge current at this location. It's usually 48 amps for AC charging. Most of the time, you're not going to have to touch that. The schedule button. The schedule button is how you tell your vehicle when to charge. Once again, go back and look at my charging video to see when you should be charging and when you should not be charging, okay? Because typically at night is when you really want to be charging, and you don't want it charging in the daytime because it's going to run up your electric bill something fierce if you do this on a regular basis. So you want to do it on the off-peak times. You set the schedule in there when you want it to charge. That's how you do it with that button. It just so happens I have solar panels installed on my home, so I have an extra switch that's there that says charge on solar at this location, and that allows me to charge on solar only. So it's smart enough to know if there's excess solar power left over, that's when it starts to charge. It's actually that smart. So if you have solar panels, the car will only charge on solar if you have that switch flipped. It's also available in the app on how to do all of that. And that's what you do for the charging menu. Autopilot menu. Under Autopilot, this is kind of a misnomer right now because of a couple of different reasons. Just recently, for all of the new vehicles, Autopilot is going away, or to be more accurate, has gone away. So for new vehicles, you don't even have Autopilot in your vehicle anymore. It's either traffic aware cruise control or full self-driving, FSD. There are no in-betweens on this. You don't even have the option of buying auto steering. So I know you see it here on the menu. If you're looking at a new vehicle, you won't have this option. For the older vehicles, you'll probably will have this option. And so traffic aware cruise control is your traditional cruise control like we talked about in part 1. Full self-driving, we went into that as well. That's how you select which one you have. Now, let's talk about full self-driving for a moment. Specifically, the strikeouts. Whenever you're driving the vehicle, you have a camera that is looking at you and it's looking to see if you're holding a cell phone or if you're texting. You're given a little leeway, but as you're driving down the road, this screen will start to flash blue at you and start beeping at you if you're basically texting and driving too much and you're not paying attention to the road. If this goes on for too long, then you will get a strike. What a strike looks like, the screen will basically disappear. You'll get a big red steering wheel with hands up there saying, please take control immediately. And when you get that, you know you've been given a strike. The full self-drive will no longer work for the rest of the drive. You'll have to put the car back into park first before you'll be able to re-engage it. That's just the way it is. Each strike stays on your record for essentially 3.5 days. If you go past 3.5 days, the strike drops off. However, if you get another strike in that time period, it resets the counter. So now you got to go another 3.5 days before that next strike drops off. If you hit 5 strikes in that time period, then you get put in jail, Tesla jail, they call it. It's a lot better now because it used to be a week. Now it's only 3.5 days. You'll get put in Tesla jail for 3.5 days, in which case you will not have access to your FSD for 3.5 days. We have self-driving stats, you got that. Brake confirm, require brake press and release to start FSD from park. If you have FSD, you can start it from park just by pressing the blue button in the, up in the upper right-hand corner of the driving screen. That'll start the vehicle. So you don't even have to touch the steering wheel or the brake to get the car going. If you select that button right there, that means you have to press the brake to confirm to let the car start going. Most of the time, I just leave it off. In the different options that you have down there, you can have actually smart summon, which you can turn on to have available to you. That allows you to summon the car to you in the app. Yes, you can call the car to you from the app, as long as you're within 400 feet. The other options down here, speed limit warning, you definitely want to display in the map. Speed limit, you don't have to really change those too much, but there's some basic things you should put in there. Like I usually keep offset plus 5 miles per hour. Forward collision warning, I always keep it set to early. So just in case you're driving by hand and you don't see a car or somebody swerving in front of you, it'll start beeping at you early, let you know, hey, start getting on the brakes, start slowing down. That's what that is for. You have early, medium, and late. Lane departure avoidance, you can either turn it off, you can have a warning, in which case your screen's gonna turn, it's gonna turn the lines blue and red and all of this on your screen. Or assist, the car will actually kind of nudge the car back into the center of the lane. It's not lane assist driving, but what it is that it's more of a lane departure thing. So you'll feel the car nudge you back. If the wheel is pulling and you didn't want it to pull, that's the option that's turned on that's making that happen. And that's the emergency lane departure avoidance, automatic emergency braking, you got that. And the green light traffic chime, I always keep that turned on. You have the seats option. Now the seats option seems innocuous, and in most of the premium vehicles, it looks just like the screen here. Essentially, you have your seat heaters and your seat coolers, and you can even move the seat, the passenger seat specifically, backwards and forwards from the screen, which is great. However, if you happen to have one of the newer standard models, the standard models really started making a debut last year. We're talking about the standard Model 3, the standard Model Y. They actually have your seat controls on the screen. So while you have the seat controls on the side of the seats in the premium models, in the standard models, they aren't there. So if you're looking for them and you're not finding them, that's the reason why. They're actually on the screen here. So before you get in the car, it may be in the wrong position. You have to actually hit the seats button first, and then you can adjust all of the seat controls on the screen. Is that ideal? I don't know. In some ways, I kind of like it, truth be told. But it's a very important distinction. The safety menu. Now, the safety menu has a few things in here that I think you should really know about. Sentry Mode being one of the premier things because you're driving a Tesla. When we talk about Sentry, we're talking about that USB drive that is sitting in your glove compartment and recording everything that's going on with the vehicle. When the car is in park, the Sentry will continually record while it's in Sentry Mode. However, this utilizes battery power, so keep that in mind. It will drain your battery and give you phantom battery drain if you have it engaged and you have people walking around your vehicle. But if you're in certain places, you may want this, especially if you're only leaving it there for a few hours. So kind of keep that in mind. As people walk around the vehicle, it takes snapshots of people walking around the vehicle and doing whatever. While you're driving, as I mentioned earlier, it's constantly recording, and you can manually tell it to record in 10-minute increments by hitting the button or setting it as an option for your left scroll wheel as well. So you definitely want to pay attention to that. You can hit exclude home, exclude work, and exclude favorites so that whenever you actually park there, Sentry won't just all of a sudden pop on while you're at home. Farther down the list, you have allow mobile access. That allows the mobile app to have access. You definitely want to have that engaged. But then you have Valet Mode, pin to drive, and glove box pin. The Valet Mode is just that. Whenever you park with a valet, you turn that on, and it essentially locks the valet out from doing anything in your system that's critical. For instance, changing profiles around, or your music, or anything of that nature. Basically, it's a privacy mode for your vehicle. All it allows the vehicle to do is basically let them go and park the vehicle. Every single time the car moves in Valet Mode, you will receive a notification in your app letting you know that the vehicle is moving. In case you're uber paranoid about people driving your vehicle, even if they have a key, you can hit pin to drive, which means you set a pin code for the vehicle. The car will not go until you actually put the pin code in. So it could be a 4-digit pin or what have you. Whatever you set the pin code to for the vehicle, that's what it's going to be. And even if you have a key, you can't drive the vehicle unless you have the pin code. One of the things that will cause phantom battery drain as well, especially in the middle of the summer, is cabin overheat protection. This is actually a neat feature because it stops the inside of the cabin from getting too hot. You can set it to 90, 95 degrees or 100 degrees, in which case it'll kick the AC on, cool the cabin down to 100 degrees because it can get roaring hot in here. I'm talking 130 degrees plus. That's really not good for your interior and vehicles in general. If you're just coming back off of a trip or you're coming out from work out of a building and you don't want to come back to a really hot car, you keep that turned on, or you can actually start your AC system from your app way ahead of time. But just realize that this will cause more phantom battery drain. This is more systems that's staying active. You're activating the compressor on the AC system. It will take a couple percentage points off your battery per day. Be sure to watch this closely. If you're leaving your car in, say, the airport for a few days, you may want to turn this off, park it in the parking garage, and just leave it off. Let's talk about the service menu. The service menu is essentially, well, it's where all of your service stuff is kind of tracked. You can see right here we have the tire pressures. It tells you what the tire pressures should be. It tells you exactly what the tire pressures are. Pretty simple, right? A lot of this we went through in part 1. I highly recommend you take a look at that video. The question becomes, how do you know how much battery you have left on the vehicle? Well, you have your battery indicator, which is in the upper right-hand corner of the driving screen there. And it's usually in percentage. It can display miles. If you tap on there, it can display the number of miles you have left. But I highly discourage this because let's face it, folks, you have your cell phone and your cell phone displays your battery in terms of percentages. It doesn't display battery in terms of how much scrolling time you got left. It shows you a percentage bar because your scrolling time really depends on, wow, are you watching videos, are you playing video games, or is this phone sitting idle? People are able to understand that when it comes to their cell phones. EVs are no different. That mileage on there depends on how aggressively you're driving. Are you accelerating very quickly? Are your AC systems running? What kind of road conditions are you going uphill? Things of that nature. So the mileage is a great guide, don't misunderstand me. But truth be told, you really want to be in percentage battery to really truly understand how much battery power you've got left. And that is what you're going to be concerned about when you're going on trips and when you're planning your trips out. Now, having said that, we do have another menu to help you out, because I know a lot of people have range anxiety. And well, it's understandable. You want to know, you want to understand how far you can go before this vehicle is going to run out of power. And so you have apps on your app screen to help you out. Specifically, you have an energy app here. Now, in this energy app, a lot of people tend to ignore this app because they simply just don't understand it. If you take the time out to understand this app, we're going to help you try to look at it. It's going to make a lot more sense, and it's going to become a lot more clear as to how your battery is performing and how your trip is going. So when you open up the app, it starts on this energy screen here, right? And you want to be in drive and trip. That's the easiest part of this to understand. And what it's telling you is if you have a destination set in your navigation, the navigation is going to tell you what your arrival percentage is going to be, number one. But more importantly, this looks at your driving habits over time. So over the last X number of miles, it may be the last 200 miles, they're going to say, based on that, how are you performing in relation to that driving style? And what I mean by that is it's going to project what your percentage is going to be based on your battery health, based on the way that you drive this vehicle. It's going to project what percentage you're going to be at. And if you're doing better than that, let's say normally what you're doing, you're gunning it from light to light. You're trying to beat that next guy from light to light. You're gunning it over and over and over again. Well, eventually the system's going to say, wow, this guy uses a lot more battery power than normal. I'm going to project him being at 20% when we get there. But let's say you're going on a road trip now and you say, well, I'm going to drive really conservative. I'm not going to gun it today. I'm just going to baby it. So when you start to drive, you're going to notice that this line is going to start straying to the green area. And what that means is you are doing much better than what the system is projecting you to be at, which means you're probably going to arrive with more power than it's projecting you to arrive at. Where this becomes critical at is when you have the reverse. You're a very conservative driver, but you're finding that you're in very cold weather and you are running your AC systems a lot warmer than normal, and you're having to gun it, or you're in really slippery conditions, you're having to use a lot of power. You're going to notice that line starting to go into the yellow. It'll start turning yellow, letting you know you're using more power than what's being projected. So while that percentage that it gives you for your destination is there, you're doing a little bit worse than what's projected, in which case you can count on that projection changing. So if you're straying around that 10% projected arrival and you've seen you're going into the yellow, then you may not want to believe that percentage and start thinking about stopping to charge. If you understand this menu, it will make your life a whole lot easier. In the bottom half of this menu, to help you out, there are a few things here. It says driving, climate, battery conditioning, elevation, everything else. It's telling you the reasons why you're either burning more power or saving more power. Whether it's your driving, whether or not you have the air conditioner turned way high or way low. If it's green, it's helping. If it's yellow, it's hurting. It's that simple. Don't try to complicate it any more than that. So if you look at this menu, this is how you become a more efficient driver. I mean, I could sit up here all day and give you efficiency tips, but at the end of the day, this is what it is. Now, you'll notice you have three options here at the top. You have drive, park, and consumption. If you press the park option, it will pull up that list again of things that are either helping or hurting your battery. Now, this is for when your car is in park. So let's say you parked your car overnight and you came back to the vehicle and it was down 5% from when it was yesterday. This menu is telling you the reason why it was down 5% yesterday. Was it due to the screen being on because somebody decided to watch movies all night long in your vehicle? Was it due to preconditioning the battery? Or was it due to the cabin overheat protection? Was it due to the Sentry? This is how you figure it out. So you get that phantom battery drain. The phantom now all of a sudden isn't so ghostly anymore. Now you're starting to figure out, okay, that's the reason why I'm burning so much power. Okay, now I get it. You just have to look at the reasons. It's telling you the reasons why it's burning power. You just have to pay attention. The consumption button tells you what are you doing over time. This one isn't as critical as the other two, but it just gives you an idea of how you're doing versus what it expects. And it gives you your average and it tells you what the battery is rated for. That's really what it is. So, take a look at this one, play around with it, understand it, but definitely to drive in the park, please go through this, understand it, and just, take a glance at it every so often. It will greatly help out your trip planning, promise. So we covered a lot of things in this video. We went everything from all the different menu options to the keys, to the Bluetooth. to even how to get out of the vehicle in an emergency. Don't forget to check out part 3 of our series, where we show you how to maintain this vehicle properly, which will be coming up very soon. We'll put a link to it just as soon as we have it up and available for you. If you utilize my links to buy the accessories, you can get it 26% off of all of the accessories on the vehicle. And believe me, there are a lot of accessories for it, and we'll show you a few more of those. Some from Tesla, some not from Tesla. Believe me, you're really going to enjoy this. But you can get up to 26% off on those. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon. Peace.